Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier on a big Thursday edition of the show. So pumped to be here with you guys today. Unfortunately, a rainy day here in the Central Texas area. So, of course, the kibosh got put on our viewing of practice earlier today for the Longhorns, the second practice of the 2025 spring session. They moved that thing into the bubble there at Denny's Fields. And so I guess the good news is probably going to get an extra practice out of it a little bit further down the line, right? Whereas today it would have been practice with, Texas relays going on and no post practice availability because of that, no parking. So I think that, we generally usually get 3 or 4 practices that they give us media availability to. And I think it's cool that, the one silver lining of it getting it rained out today is that we might get to see some stuff that's a little bit more meaningful down the road here, because as we'll discuss in a second when we get to the practice portion of the show, things I was just told today that, man, things are really still up in the air right now with a whole lot of things, and there's not as much to take away. And I think towards the second half of spring ball is when we're really going to start to be able to get some more significant takeaways. But we'll talk about that in a second. Cody, you were the one doing all the recruiting updates, getting the big recruiting update about a new visit coming in. Do you want to talk about that, or was there something else that you wanted to get to before we got?
No, it was a joke. I was just going to say it was just a joke. I was going to say, oh, do you think potentially some April news is going to be better than March news for the practice front? Like,
I don't know. It's not just it isn't about good news or bad news. It's just about
no, I know. I'm just saying, like, do you like it's March? Like a week from now, you might get an extra day of practicing, but it'll be April, so it'll be a little bit closer to the season than March is. And it's
tiny
stupid
bit.
Joke.
What about what about this 2026 sleeper surprise visit that you uncovered today?
So we talked about Damod Lewis just a touch yesterday.
Isn't that wild? It's the guy that you're talking about that you couldn't. If you're watching yesterday, you can watch it back. But it was the guy we were talking about that Cody was saying he couldn't figure out where to rank him, and so I watched him and we talked him over.
Well, so I could figure out how to rank him, where how I liked him, and where I would, it's one of the guys in the class I would prefer at the current stage. But it was like the grading system. I think I just had a tweak in the grading system that, and as I slept on it last night, I realized like. You kind of sound like an idiot if you're like, yeah, man, this guy's he's a high 3-star with, this like 6-star potential. And someone look at you, they're like, what? But if you actually like say the word 4-star, 4-star just carries a different amount of weight, right? To like, it's only that much closer to being a 5-star, but in reality, the conversation can be taken with much more, merit, I guess. I don't know. Something, right? So, nonetheless, Damod Lewis, who's a 2026 defensive end, not edge rusher, defensive end from Valentine Ridge in Charlotte, North Carolina. Did a little bit more digging on him. I published my 2026 defensive end rankings this morning over on Orange Bloods. You can go check those out. You can see all 15 of the defensive ends I graded, along with the 12 offensive tackles that I graded last couple weeks ago. For my rankings, my out-of-state rankings. They're kind of have a soft name. It's the Stargazing out-of-state rankings. It's kind of a play off the title I used last year for the column. But Damod Lewis. So some information about Damod Lewis. I reached out to him. He will be at Texas on Monday, taking an unofficial visit Monday the 31st. He's originally from Bellevue, Washington. And I dug a little bit deeper because he's a guy that if you go back and look at his history of like offers and kind of how this thing has all come to fruition, if you go back to last January, he had 3 offers: Nevada, Washington, and Cal. And again, he's from Bellevue, Washington. That's where he was playing. The connection was to why he went from Washington to Carolina was his brother, Damian Lewis, who was a guard for LSU, was an All-American at LSU, or All-America, not All-American, different titling for different places. But to be correct, in 2019, he was drafted in the 3rd round to the Seattle Seahawks, where he spent a couple of years. And then last spring, alongside Robert Hunt from the Miami Dolphins, he got a fat contract to go to the Carolina Panthers. I'm not sure if Damod lives with his brother, but based on the fact that he moved from Washington to Carolina when his brother did the same exact thing. I would assume there's some close connection there, whether the whole family's still all together or he just lives with his brother. I'm not sure. On Rivals, he's currently unranked, no stars, no ranking, nothing. On the other services, he's a 3-star currently on 247. He was once a 4-star at one point when he was back in Washington. He was listed. I found a screen grab from like a year ago where he was listed as a 4-star on 247, but that's since been rescinded, even though the first month of the year, January this year, he went from 3 offers to about 18 in a span of 3 weeks, adding Texas, USC, and Oregon, to name a few.
You know
He
who the
also had
first
like,
was? Do you know who the first was to offer? Do you know who started? Because it's always one big school offers and somebody else does, and then it starts something.
well, so according to the Rivals site, it was also mentioned Troy. Troy was one of the first schools as well a year ago. I think the 247 site had it directly order. Let me check the direct order. I think it was USC, but I don't want to be wrong. One sec. It was App State and Oregon on January 16th.
Okay.
Then a week later, it was USC, Minnesota, Miami, Ohio, Texas, North Carolina State, Georgia Tech, Kentucky, Virginia Tech, all in the same 3-day span. So technically, guys, you could say it's probably Oregon that started the trend that popped up in there for him. I reached out to him. I only got one message back today. I haven't got a confirmation on like if he's got any other officials planned, any officials planned. But we talked about him a little bit yesterday for those that weren't here. The way I view this guy is not like your standard 5-star, your standard 4-star. To me, he's a guy that he's a little bit of a freak. I think he's got great recoverability in the run game. He needs to be more creative in the passing game. He manipulates the pocket with some crazy power, very raw athlete, very raw prospect. And when you watch the huddle tape of Damad Lewis, it's DAMAAD, or you can just go find the huddle inside my column over on Orange Bloods. This guy plays receiver, like tight end at like 6'5", 240, and he's kind of maniacal. Like he's got there's some real athleticism in this. I would just say to go out and watch it. I think he's kind of a freak of nature. Some truly mind-bending abilities is kind of what I wrote down about Damad Lewis. So he'll be in town on Monday for an unofficial.
And it's Cody. It continues the trend like we talked about yesterday with Richard Wesley.
Yeah,
like these big, long, 6'5" ish. Do you think he's really 6'5"?
247 has him 6'4". Rivals has him 6'5". I mean, he's pretty massive, man. You watch him just like I think it's a little bit harder to tell when he's in the trenches, but when he's out there running routes on these DBs, I'm like, all right, these DBs are probably not that big, but this guy looks like a monster.
Yeah,
so,
man.
I think he's up there, whether it's 6'3.5", 6'4.5", 6'5". I think Damian, his brother, in high school is listed at 6'3". Right now for the Panthers, he's listed at 6'2". The combine for Damian, his brother, was 6'2" flat. But again, that was his brother. His brother's built a little bit different than he is.
Oh yeah, clear.
33-inch arms was his brother.
Well, I mean, yeah, so Damian Lewis had longer arms than you would think for his body, right? And I think Damad Lewis, if you just watch him, the one time, like you said, where you can see with his height, gosh, I'm watching this stuff right now. He really is a good interior pass rusher. I like him when he's at the 3 technique and he just can disengage and just completely melt the pocket
with ease, right?
It's like the best way I could say it is it just kind of it's like a cube of ice that's getting melted. It's just he disintegrates it. He's really good with the interior pass rush, long arms. Long in general. I do notice here, just as you watch it, some pad level stuff. We talked about it yesterday, maybe some discipline stuff, but I can't help it. I just have this thing for guys that have like brothers in the NFL or their dads in the NFL or stuff. I think maybe it's bad that I kind of give those guys a little bit more credit for saying like they're going to get this stuff worked out.
Well,
They
they
live,
should.
eat, breathe
They
it.
should get a little bit, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, maybe maybe I give them a proper amount of credit, but if it is the proper amount of credit, it's a decent amount of benefit of the doubt that I'll extend to those guys, because of those connections and just because of the environments that you think that they're learning in and they're growing in, and you get these guys are like 16 years old, so like you talk about the pad level, it's like, well, I mean that he's probably got 20 years before he's completely out of his prime to be playing football. He that's longer than he's been alive, so he can probably get it figured out. Do you make anything of the fact that they are recruiting these types of bodies, these types of guys that are looked, both of them? I mean, we know that with Wesley, we don't know that Texas is going to land him. We know that it's heating up and things are looking kind of okay with the guy. They're bringing in Damod for 2026. With these 2026 guys, they look to me like they're going to fill out to the 275, 280 kind of builds.
Yeah.
That's a big boy defensive end, man. That's almost a, it's just a little bit different. It's different than like Ethan Burke and Colton Vasek and stuff.
Well, I think Ethan Burke's pretty big, but he was lighter coming out of high school, right? 230.
Yeah, well, both. I mean, Ethan Burke,
he was 6'7". That's what he's listed at on Rivals.
Ethan Burke right now weighs 258.
Yeah.
And he's in Ethan Burke, man. Ask anybody. I mean, you've seen him, but like Ethan Burke still looks a little bit. Whenever Ethan Burke between his freshman and his sophomore year, he wanted to put on weight, and he put on weight. And there were a lot of people that said, "Man, is that all good weight?" You know what I mean? I don't want to say that Ethan Burke's maxed out. I'm not gonna say it. I love Ethan Burke. Westlake Chaparral. Shout out Chaparrals, right? Chaparral till I die. But it's just not. It's not the same. He just doesn't. He doesn't have the same. These two types of guys have different frames. They're longer. They're more sinewy with kind of the grapevine arms. They are they're both longer leg. They're both higher cut, high cut though, with the long legs and the long arms. Just a little bit different of a body style, and project to be 20 pounds heavier.
So that's fair. The interesting thing here is the official visits planned right now for the defensive end position, not edge, just defensive end, which is the guys that I've looked at so far. I'll have the edge guys done next week, but it's Julian McCoy from Tupelo, Mississippi, who you should also, if you haven't watched him out, you need to go.
Is his name spelled like Juralen or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you've watched him. I think we've talked about him before.
I've watched that guy.
6'7", 245, same build.
Mm-hmm.
I comped him to Charles Snowden, if you remember him from Virginia. Charles Snowden was like this overpowering, large freak of nature.
I don't remember him.
And he was a little bit stiff. I went to that Virginia Pro Day like 2 years ago, and I was like, whoa. But then you watch him play, you're like, looks like Tarzan plays like Jane type of a deal. Anyway, he's got an official planned for the 13th of June. And then Damod Lewis has an unofficial plan for next week. And the only other defensive end that I currently have information on planning a visit is Bryce Perry Wright, who's built like closer to a Baron Sorrell or a Quiddy Pay at that like 6'3", 260 build. More of a mature body, but he's more of the standard kind of when you think of the strong side D and that, is more of a run defender and a multiple type of a player. That's Bryce Perry Wright. That's the he's out of I think Grayson. Let me double check. I just had the sheet. Bryce Perry writes out of Buford, sorry. Big school in Georgia,
Yeah.
Buford,
Yeah.
Georgia. One of the most well-known number 4 ranked defensive end in the country. But it's just weird, like you just talking about the size of these guys that they're recruiting. Like I know Jamarian Carlton, who's listed as an edge, is also a freak of nature athlete. It's kind of a different build, like you said, than the Colin Simmons or the
How
Trey.
big is Carlton? Dude, I love Carlton. How big is he again?
Jamarian Carlton is currently listed at 6'5", 240.
Little bit, but he's
So he's kind of getting
little bit slenderer than these guys. Let me watch let me refresh myself on Carlton. Hold on. Oh, Carlton. Oh, dude, dude. I love Carlton, but he is skinnier than these guys. He's more slender, but gosh, he's good. So like Carlton would be the guy who you would say like, all right, well, that's the dude who they're going to line up at that buck end, like over there on like the traditional weak side defensive end, that just the edge, right? And thankfully, Rivals has him as an edge defender, but. Yeah, man, Carlton, dude, he's got some get off. He's long too. But the one thing about him, even in his highlights, it makes it like he's showing off some of his best run fits here. His best run fits here are nothing like those other two. They just aren't. They just aren't. He doesn't hold up against the run in the same way, and it's wild to me that it's just that 15. It's just that 15 pounds of difference, and I don't think it's just the 15 pounds of difference. I just think that his body style and the way that he plays, it just lends itself to being more gifted in certain, and more gifted is like a pass rusher. You know what I mean? And when you're good at that, which he is he a 5-star?
Carlton.
No, he's a 4-star. Dude, if they could land one of these dudes and then get Jamarian Carlton, I think that would be maybe I've answered my own question. If they think they can get Carlton, they bookend them with one of these other guys. It'd be pretty sick.
Yeah. Pretty good duo. Speaking of odds to get players in the class, you might as well just bring it up. Jason updated his recruiting board today. Where did it go? I just had it up here. So he updated it this morning. You can go check it out over on Orange Bloods. Speaking of the defensive ends, Jamarian Carlton currently carries the highest odds and the biggest trend for Jason among all defensive end and edge rushers at 40% odds.
Tap the brakes, Jason. He can't. His highest percentage for anybody is 40%.
Any defensive end or edge rusher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but but also among these names, it's like 35%, 35%, 35%, 35%, 30, 30, 30, 30, and 25.
What about list me off the kids that he has over 50%, regardless of position.
Oh, on the whole sheet?
Yeah.
All right. So KJ Edwards, running back from Carthage, 60%.
Where does he have Javian Osborne? 20?
25.
Okay.
Xavier Crowell, who's going to be in for a visit this weekend, 40%. He's the running back from Alabama. Receiver, Kaden Finley.
Have you gotten to watch back any more Xavier Crowell?
I haven't, because I kind of just like let it escape my mind. During the combine, when that whole thing went down, I just kind of was like, all right, well, I know I love Javian Osborne. Crowell, I thought the ship sailed. He's going to be visiting this weekend. KJ Edwards is going to be visiting A&M. Who was the back last week that signed with Oklahoma? Was it? I don't know. Mind is going empty right now, but they got a running back, Savion Hitter, maybe. Maybe I'm wrong here.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter. Oklahoma got a back that was in competition with Texas A&M. So A&M's kind of putting a full court press on KJ Edwards. So Xavier Crowell will be in Texas this weekend. Anyway, Edwards, 60% trend to Texas. He's the only running back over 50%. At receiver, the only receiver over 50% is Kaden Finley. 55%.
Yo, Cody, have you seen this video that they put out that I saw that Jermichael Finley, his dad, put it on his Instagram? You ought to watch it. I think it's just called Finley. And it's like this, it's like, I don't know if they were out there like making a movie about the kid or something like this, dude. But
I watched a video of him a year ago, but I haven't seen one since.
Well, this one looks like it's like a Friday Night Lights type like cinematic movie. It looks like they had a film crew or something out there recording this because it has these highlights that aren't traditional. That aren't traditional.
Oh yeah, dude, this is sick.
Dude, but I'm just like, how could they have caught on camera all of those disgustingly? Does that have? Can we just show that? You think?
Yeah,
Can you share your screen and show it without sound?
yeah.
Because you look at him and yeah. So it's like it's this stuff where it looks like a movie. You know what I mean? But whenever it gets to showing some of these highlights, it shows these highlights from all these different games. And I'm like, dude, how could they have been there to capture all of these various just highlight reel catches? You know what I mean?
They had to have
Um,
had like multiple cameramen there because it's. I mean, I have a buddy back in Minnesota that goes around to all the high school games every single week and does this type of stuff, but he does it about like the game. It's not about like a player. So tracking a player, getting all this up close footage, like
yeah,
being in that end zone, like you got to really be on that sideline.
some of this stuff where I love some of these
Oh,
God,
look at that.
look how big his hand is. He doesn't even have to use his body to do that. You know what I mean? It's just like out with one hand, just a big mitt. I love this stuff that he does across the middle. You know, he's got the contested catch stuff, but I love he's just
It's
I
pretty
don't know.
nice.
Just like he does it in all. Oh, gosh, I love this. I love this. I love this. I guess it's not highlight film. I don't even know what it is. I just love these clips of him. I think it shows off a whole lot of different things that the guy can do. Just really good body
And the thing is,
control.
it's in like 4K.
Yeah, yeah, man. It's just Kaden Finley's awesome. Um, when it showed the close up of him too, he kind of looks like his dad. I guess not surprising. Um, so what did Jason put the odds on him at?
55%, which is the best among receivers. I had 4 other guys on there. Booby Feaster 30% for those interested.
Any other positions or any other players over better than a coin flip?
No tight ends. Offensive line, he goes Felix Ojo 65%. That's pretty warm. I
65.
like that.
I
So, I
mean,
mean,
okay.
you think it's low?
Yes, dude. I think
Oh,
that should be but Jason always wants to tap the brakes.
I get it, especially when it's like March. I get it. Turn time 55%.
55.
Yeah,
Turn time's going to Michigan this weekend.
yeah.
And you worried about that?
I don't really care.
Is 55 and 65?
65 Ojo, 55 Turntine. Krempen's 45. Krempen's been on, the world tour.
Crimpen's been getting those frequent flyer miles.
Stacked up. Yeah.
So Jason thinks turn time more than Crimpen.
Can I give you a stat?
Yeah.
So if you look at offensive line rankings, gosh, I want to be direct on this and correct. If you look at offensive line rankings on Rivals right now, Max Wright, who committed to Texas, is currently the 14th ranked tackle in the country. Zayden Krempen, 17th.
Is that right?
I just noticed it yesterday. I was like, it caught me off guard because I read it and I go, that was not what that was a month ago. Like a month ago, I swore Max Wright was a 3-star and he was like in the 30s or 40s. He's ranked 138 in the country. He went from being not ranked up to 125, and now he's at 138 overall. And Krempen, on the other hand, is at, let me pull up the page exactly. He's at 17th overall at the tackle position, which is 3 spots behind him. He's at 155 overall, and he's actually came up a couple spots from 160, but he was once in December, he was 128 You go back a year ago, he's 102. So Krempin's been going down, where Max Wright coincidentally commits to Texas and gets a bump.
Whatever all Krempin's been doing is just been just jet setting and picking up offers everywhere and stuff. It feels like it.
Clemson, Michigan, Ohio State, Texas, like seems like not a reason to drop
Feels
a
to
guy.
me like dude. I mean, if you're being like, if I pin you down and I say you got to choose one guy between Maximus Wright and Zayden Krempin, who are you taking?
It's not really. I mean, to me, it's not close. I have a 3-star grade on Max Wright and a 4-star on Krempin.
Yes.
And my comp for Krempin is Sam Cosme, and my comp for Max Wright is Frank Crum from Wyoming.
Frank Crum? Who is that? How do you?
He's a dirtball. He's like a 6th or 7th round pick from Wyoming.
But
big, long dude, though. I'm not saying anything bad about Max Wright. That's not what this is. He's a massive human being. I think has a lot of developmental traits, for 2-3 years from now. But in comparison to Krempin, like my maturity grade for Krempin was a 7.5. I think he's, well along in his growth, whereas Max Wright's at like a 5.3.
All right.
So like I think there's levels to it, and that's out of 10 to be clear with it. But I just thought it was interesting, and I've wanted to get your reaction to that they moved Wright ahead of Krempin.
Well, I mean, I'm the same. I'm the same as you. I just kind of gave my reaction. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
What a boon it would be. I mean, I can't put 65% and 55% still for turn time.
Yep.
I know we have S. Rowan in the chat saying the Little John Turntine. I mean, I get it, but dude, he's still awesome, right? It would still be awesome to get Turntine. At this point, I prefer Ojo, but like, what if you could get Turntine and Ojo?
I think you're ecstatic. The trifecta, the home run is definitely Turntine, Krempin, and Ojo.
And you keep Maximus Wright.
And all of a sudden you got, I think at the end of the day, Krempin will be a top 15 tackle. So if you did that, you'd hypothetically end up with 4 top 15 tackles in the country.
And if Turntine is small, you just play him at guard. You can't recruit him that way.
That's a pretty elite group.
Yeah. You can't recruit him that way though. I think it would be hard to get 4 of the top 15 tackles in one class.
I agree. The only defender north of 50% is Chase Calicut, the safety defensive back from North Shore. He's at 55%. That's the only defender over 50%.
Huh.
And then also Gaston Grammatica's at 50%, the kicker.
Get a Grammatica on the team, dude. Talk about the NFL. Talk about NFL bloodlines, man. Is his dad Martin Grammatica or Bill Grammatica?
I think Jason's talked about this before. I'm not sure which one it is.
I prefer it to be Martine.
I
can't believe that kid's not going to K-State.
Nico and Gaston. Nico went to USF 2 years ago to be the kicker. He is Martin's son.
Martin Grammatica. Well, it's definitely good bloodlines. It kind of reminds you of the 2,600-year-old bloodlines of the Piedmontese cattle that Texas Beef Traders brought over from Italy. Now Texas Beef Traders didn't bring them over from Italy. That would be Texas Piedmontese down there in Luckenbach that did it, but they did it. And this herd had been together for 2,600 years, never commingled with any other herds, species, anything like that. And what you end up getting is just this level of beef that has I don't even understand how it can be like this, but it's so lean and so good. It has less fat and less cholesterol in it than ground turkey. It is, but all it does is just taste like elite beef. You can get it at Texas Beef Traders. My favorite stuff there is the Angus beef. I love the MTX herd out there in Mason, Texas. No vaccines, no antibiotics, nothing, all natural. But they got the Wagyu herd too. All this stuff gets brought into Texas Beef Traders right there on 620, right at the corner of 620 and Loman's Crossing in Lakeway every Wednesday. And You go in, you talk to Darren, you drink a beer. If you're into beer, if you're not into beer, he'll give you a kombucha or something. That's the other thing about Texas Beef Traders that people don't understand. It's a beef. It's the best meat shop there is. Like the selection is unbelievable. And if in the front coolers, the fresh coolers from the week, if you can't find what you want in there, he'll go to the back and find something that he put in the deep freeze that didn't sell, right? And that stuff will be from 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, or whatever. But back there also, he has these, like, people just want to sell their stuff there, like an artisan kind of kombucha, right? There's a family that sells this awesome pickled okra that they grow. It's like local, and they pickle it themselves, and it tastes them like this. It tastes amazing. They got these little cherry peppers. Just, it's like a farmer's market in a meat shop. And it's the coolest environment. It's the best business that there is. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com, and you get 10% off whenever you tell them that you heard about them here on Football with Friends. You can make an order. If you live in the Austin area, Darren will bring it to your house. All right. We also have beef jerky. It's for sale. Only 3 flavors right now. I guess the jalapeno garlic is out, but we have the hot honey. We have the smoked garlic, and we have the cowboy blend. Again, that's Football with Friends, tasty as hell beef jerky. It's co-branded. Cody and I have input on it. It's like we work with Darren to get that beef jerky out to you guys. There's a QR code right there and a link below in the description. Go support Texas Beef Traders. We love those guys. All right. What else you want to talk about, man? Do you want to talk about practice? We didn't get to see, but I've heard some things. Practice?
You piqued my interest.
All right.
I could probably share a nugget that I got for the war room, but the war room's not out yet, so I don't want to get too in depth on everything, but I could share something after we talk about practice too.
Is it a practice nugget?
No, it's an NFL nugget for the draft.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Yeah, you're right. The war room's not out yet. Let's
talk about let's give them a taste. Let's give them a taste.
Okay, let me just see something about. Okay, what about this? Okay, how about this? So I know some fans might be a little bit worried about what the secondary with Jahdae Barron gone. I'm not worried about him, but you hear people say that they're worried about it. Somebody I was talking to today close to the team, and I'd be interested to hear what you think about this and what they mean by it. But they're saying, like, what do you think about the secondary? And he's saying basically that they're so loaded. Like he said, and this is a text, it's going to be hard to keep all them guys, especially the DFW kids.
In SMU swimming or what?
I tried to follow back up with what do you mean by that DFW thing, and I didn't get a response. I think I don't know whether. So I don't know. I wish I had a good answer, but you know how these lines of communication go sometimes, man. Sometimes people just kind of, you take what you get and you can pass it along. But basically, the point was, he's like worried about the secondary. I'm worried about whether we're going to even be able to keep all these guys.
Yeah.
Whenever you look at the roster, do you have those worries? Because I mean, as far as the guys who are, say, sophomores, red shirts, and freshmen, it's pretty encouraging. Like Kobe Black, Warren Roberson, as far as the sophomores, they're practicing right now in the spring. Xavier Filsamy, Jordan Johnson-Rubel, Santana Wilson are all redshirt freshmen practicing right now. And then the true freshmen, of course, Jonah Williams, Zealous Hicks, Cade Phillips, Caleb Chester, and then Grayson Littleton, who we didn't think was going to make it in for spring ball, apparently did. He's here. So I'm not necessarily sure, Cody, though, that I worry about hanging on to him. And that could have just been him saying, like, no, am I worried about him? No, man, I'm worried about whether we can even hold on to all of them.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Like the DFW kids, so I'm sorting through like the current roster of DFW kids, and it's like Kojo, Stro, Those are the first two to pop off the screen to me of guys that we've talked about their role in the team. Jaden Chapman is what he's in Harker Heights. That's technically what
Oh
Central.
no, wait! You're talking about offensive line?
Yeah.
I'm talking about the DBs.
Oh, okay. You're talking about the DBs from Dallas.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I missed the word DB in there. I thought you just said portal and then DFW. So I attached the two, and all three of those offensive linemen are around the.
Right. No. Like, because I was asking, like, I was saying, I'm sorry if I didn't communicate this effectively. What I was saying, I asked the guy I was like, there were some fans that are concerned about the secondary with Jade Barron going and having to move Gilbo.
Yeah.
How have they been looking? And he's like, they're worried about that. Like, I'm more worried that we're not going to be able to keep all these guys, especially the DFW guys.
Okay.
So, I mean, Phil Simme's DFW.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't think off the top of my head who else DFW.
here, 1 second. I got it. So I have a sheet here that's sorted. 1 second. I don't want to go there. I want to go there. Okay. All right. So Gilbo's Port Arthur. That's not DFW. Waco. Malik Muhammad's DeSoto. Kobe's Waco. Jonas Galveston. He's obviously not a question. These are all freshmen. Phil Simmy's McKinney. Jordan Johnson Rebels Fort Worth. Warren Roberson's Red Oak.
DFW.
Those are your DFW kids. That's it.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, so Warren Roberson, Jordan Johnson Rebel, and Phil Simmy. To me, everything we've heard outside of the building from players at the combine and things of this nature, Phil Simmy's sort of got a role. It sounds like, and there's high projection for him. He's also a high-end recruit that they flipped last year. I don't think he would be a guy that's going to exit quickly, especially with a Derek Williams injury and Jelani potentially playing down there in the star position. But JJR and Warren Roberson, if they see, Warren Roberson came in last year, so he's a year. I mean, there's a couple of Red Oak kids that went to Cam Morgan and Taz Williams went to Baylor, and Baylor obviously is just up the road.
Mm-hmm.
Those are Red Oak kids he went to school with. And then you look at JJR, who's Fort Worth, but he went to IMG Academy too. I don't know. The door's open for that situation, but those are definitely two names that we haven't really talked about for real reps. So
Roberson was working with the second group and at Tuesday's practice, but
without Derek Williams, right?
Yeah, but it wouldn't affect him because he plays corner.
Sorry, my bad. I was thinking but he's not going to be the second team corner.
Well, I mean,
if you look at,
you think it'll be Cade Phillips?
I would say
because it was rotating in. It was both. It was whenever they went to the shell drills with Akina, that was Kobe Black and Santana Wilson.
I would say I would say it's going to be Gilbo Muhammad, and then I think by the time the punches are thrown, it's Cade and Kobe as the second team, and Warren's going to be there. He played a little bit last year, but Santana Wilson's still there too.
And Wardell Mack technically still plays both corner and nickel.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I could.
Where's Wardell Mack from? Do you know?
Wardell Mack is from Westminster, Louisiana.
Okay, definitely not DFW.
Definitely.
Here's an interesting question in the chat. What should my expectation be for Parker Livingstone this season? You tell him yours, and I'll tell him mine.
My expectation for Parker Livingstone this year to probably be the starter opposite of Wingo with DeAndre Moore, but to probably lose reps as the days go by to a French. That's kind of my expectation right now. I'm not going to put Livingstone in this is going to sound terribly stupid, but you'll understand it when I finish. I don't want to put him in like a Justice Finley bucket and be like, oh, he's going to be overtaken by Colin Simmons. Like he has to. We know Colin Simmons.
Oh, we can't do that with Parker.
Listen,
Yeah,
but let me listen.
No, I'm just saying. I totally agree.
I get it.
We can't do that. Right.
I'm doing it, but I'm doing it. I told you you were going to overreact to it. By the way, but you're going to get it. I'm not putting Livingstone in the Justice Finley bucket. But what I'm saying is that he's going to artificially begin ahead of all of these 5-star freshmen because he just will. The difference is that Livingstone's more talented. He's a better player than Finley, and Finley's fine. He's good. But Simmons was always going to overtake him. I'm not sure French and Lockett were always or will always going to be overtaking Livingstone this calendar year. So I think that there's a real chance that Livingstone starts at least, the first 4 or 5 games, and then he just kind of loses. We see like the snap percentage go from like, the 75 to 85% range down to like the 55, 65% range as the season wanes a little bit, as you get these freshmen in there a little more. If you want to put a number on it, I'll go with like a 35 reception, kind of like 580 and like.
Oh, we're going full out projections, huh? Wow.
35. I'll go 35, 550, and like 6.
Okay, I'm not prepared to give that. I mean, Cody, you're gonna give a better answer than me. Look, well, I'm just gonna say what you.
I'm writing it down. I'm putting a Jersey Mike's on it, and I'm gonna collect. By the way,
dude, I mean, if he gets 6 touchdowns, it's like I think he would take you up on that. I think he'd say deal.
Well, he's 6'7". He better catch a couple.
He's not 6'7".
It's a joke.
I think that's kind of right. I think that like the starting, like he's clearly starting. If they played tomorrow, he'd probably play the whole game.
Yeah,
but you're right. It's not a Justice Finley. It's not a. It's not one of these deals where you just know through the course of the year with
much Trey Moore.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more like a Trey Moore with a Colin Simmons. By the end of the year, Trey Moore's still playing a ton, and he's actually kind of doing well. He's actually got better down the stretch. That's perfect. I think it'll be a Trey Moore type thing where he comes in, he's got studs behind him, he's good enough to hold them off. What you don't realize about Parker is he's super fast, man. He's super fast, and he's tall, and he's a size speed weapon who is just a legit sticky-handed burner. And he can run routes. And Texas had him number 2 on their board of wide receivers in his class behind Micah Hudson as far as the guys in state.
Speaking of Micah Hudson.
What?
I said, speaking of Micah Hudson.
What's going on with Micah?
He's supposedly he's in the portal.
Is he going back to Tech?
No, I don't think he's at either school right now. I think he's just, somewhere in between Lubbock and College Station.
Man, we'll get back to this whole thing, but I have a buddy. How can I say it? I don't want to.
I got a buddy in Waco.
No, okay. I got a buddy that knows through people Micah Hudson, right? And he told me, he's like, yeah, man, I love Micah. Great kid. One thing, he definitely marches to the beat of his own drum. I didn't really know what that meant during the recruiting process. I guess I kind of thought he's one of these guys that maybe wears a turtle backpack or something. I'm like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Just kind of a dude like that, but has the little memento things he puts in his Crocs or something like that. But no, it's like, I think he's kind of a wild guy. He gets some wild ideas that he's going to go to Tech and he's going to transfer out and he's just but anyway, with Livingstone, I think you should be prepared I think that you should be prepared to be fine with it if he's the starter, because he will have had to earn it. He's going to have to earn it. Mm-hmm. The interesting thing is that out of the 3 wide receivers that you would kind of consider the young stud freshmen who play outside. Now, this doesn't count Dalen McCutcheon because he plays in the slot, but it's Khalik Lockett that right now is lining up behind Livingstone, and it's French and Terry that are lining up behind Wingo. Now, another thing that somebody told me today in text, when I was kind of this was more in line with the defense. I was asking about Hero Canoe and all this stuff, and you'll be able to find that in the war room here any minute. But he's just like, what do you say? I told him what Canoe was with the ones on Tuesday, and he said he texted back. He goes, yeah. Remember they had Bond and Golden going second and third team too in the spring. So and then with a crying laughing emoji. So that was not in reference to what we're talking about. That was in reference to a completely different situation, but it does lend credence to the fact that Matthew Golden was lining up in the slot during the first Tuesday of spring practices last year. If we would have taken away anything for the rest of the season about that, we would have looked like absolute fools.
Yeah.
He didn't play one rep out of the slot all season.
Yep.
So, like, who knows? But as of right now, they, at least what they showed us, they like that kind of stretch flanker, that Z. They like Khalid Lockett over there with Livingstone, and they seem to like Jamie French and Michael Terry over there with Wingo. So if it were a player to overtake him, heck, man, if one of those guys is good enough, and it feels like to me from what we're hearing, the buzz around practice, all that stuff, it feels to me like maybe French is the one that sort of looks most impressive. Maybe I'm just a little bit biased because I kind of thought he was the freshman that I thought looked the most polished and professional out of those guys. If he's making a push, they're not gonna limit him to say, no, you've only been practicing over here at the X. We're not gonna let you play over there. That's not how this staff operates. So I expect him to get pushed, but I think Cody's exactly right about the whole Trey Moore thing. I think even if he does get pushed and there's a stud Colin Simmons version of a wide receiver that comes in, by the end of the season, Parker's still going to be playing because he's a really good player. But thank you for the question. And thanks to Specs. Almost creeping past 500 up to close to 600 of you guys watching concurrently, all in the Specs chat line. We can't tell you how much we appreciate all you guys watching, and we can't tell you how much we appreciate having such a great sponsor like Specs, a sponsor that I'm in to visit maybe a little bit too often, but we're not going to complain about it because we need to give them our business.
At Specs, it doesn't cost a lot to turn a good time into a great time, especially if you like saving money. From connoisseur collectors to aficionados of ale, you'll find bubbly bliss at any budget with a Texas-sized selection of world-class wines, rare spirits, craft beers, and more. So when you're getting ready for a good time, Specs is ready to make it great. Because at Specs, the fun starts here.
Shout Specs, low priced, amazing. Here's to you, shout. Cheers to saving.
Yes, it's Football with Friends here on Orange Bloods Live. Alex Dunlap, Cody Carpentier here every night from 6 to 7 p.m. Central Time, bringing you the information you need to know from the Texas Longhorns and the SEC and the NFL draft and the UFL. Cody and I have a UFL fantasy draft with a bunch of his degenerate friends from back home a little bit later. I have some tricks up my sleeve. I've been doing a bit of research today. Cody, how many Texas Longhorn ex-Texas Longhorn players do you think there are in the UFL, which kicks off for its 2025 season opener with this new look, XFL UFL merger, 8 teams, 50-man rosters. How many former Longhorns?
Do you know the number?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
That are currently on the roster.
Yep. So people can get pumped up to go watch their former Longhorns play in the spring.
I'll go with 3.
It's lower. It's 1.
Who is it?
It's linebacker Ben Davis, who didn't even play. He transferred in from Alabama, just too stiff.
I see Jeff McCulloch.
Oh, Jeffrey McCullough?
He's on the Memphis
So he was at Texas before
Memphis Stranglers. I don't know.
before he
Who
transferred out. I didn't think to look at guys like that. I did, but I did notice there were some players that were like that were, the Texas really wanted him. Fans really wanted him in recruiting, like the linebacker Anthony Hines Jr. I think he ended up going to Ohio State, but he was a big in-state guy that Texas really wanted.
dude, what about Dalen Mack?
Daylon Mack is
he's also on Memphis.
Dude, they're how many Aggies are in the UFL? I felt like Jalen Weidermeyer's in the UFL.
We just talked about him the other day.
I'm just like it felt like
Jay Sternberger.
Jay Sternberger, Kellen Mond is in the UFL.
He's a starter, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the starter for the San Antonio Brahmas.
Do you have a favorite team yet?
No, I guess I'll figure it out once I figure out who else on my fantasy team that I'll root for.
Is Tariq Black in this thing yet? I thought he once was.
What?
Is Tariq Black in this thing anymore?
I'm not sure. I saw earlier that Denzel Mims from Baylor. If you guys remember Hakeem Butler that used to play for Iowa State against Texas, he's in there.
I think he was pretty damn good a year ago.
Abram Smith that played for Baylor. He's a running back, I believe, for the DC Defenders.
Yeah. Who was the I swear there was another running back. I can't think of it offhand. Anthony McFarland. That's not a Texas related guy though.
No.
Larry Roundtree, who was at Missouri.
Trying to think who else. Max Duggan, who Texas played.
TJ Vasher from Texas Tech.
Yep.
Big old like stretch. He's you know what? He's a good comp for. Just kidding. Tet McMillan.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look and see as I'm looking down my kind of list here. TJ Vasher was a wide receiver that Texas was after for a while. That was somewhere out of West Texas. He's here represented in this thing. Marquez Stevenson, who got drafted by Buffalo but played down in Houston, who's from the Houston area. He's playing. I mean, there's some players, man. It'll be interesting to see.
You know, my favorite backfield is. It might be Michigan. Nate McCrary, Jaden Sheridan, and Matt Colburn. Matt Colburn was like a 4.78 guy from like Wake Forest. Jaden Sheridan last year, small school guy from Monmouth. And then Nate McCrary was like a maniacal Saginaw Valley State.
Okay.
And like a 4.52 type of situation. I don't know why I'm telling you guys I like this. We have a draft in 10 minutes, and I'm just, hey Alex, this is the backfield I like.
Dude, is our draft like right now?
Yeah, I think it's in like 5 minutes.
Okay. All right. Do you want to say that draft nugget?
Yeah, I'll keep it for tomorrow. We got final takes. We got a big show tomorrow.
Okay.
No roster watch show, so we're gonna be saving all of our takes for the day. You know, we sit here every day and do 10 shows together, so I got to save some nuggets for the end of the week.
Time to do a UFL fantasy football draft. What sickos, but football with friends always is indeed fun as hell. Now you can email us fwfemails@gmail.com. You can find Cody on X at Cody Carpentier. I'm at Alex Dunlap NFL. Of course, you can find all of our content over at orangebloods.com. There's a great promotion going on right now where you can get 50% off your first year at Orange Bloods with promo code UTSpring25. So you can scan that QR code right there. Guys, if you've been on the fence about joining Orange Bloods, I'll tell you two things. One, this is a great deal, right? You're basically getting Orange Bloods for like $4.50 a month, okay, for a whole year. Here's the other thing, and you can take it as good news or take it as bad news. Once you sign up, you're not leaving. You're just not leaving. So that's me promising you that what the community that you're going to find, the content you're going to find, the engagement that you're going to find there with your fellow fans, and the people that might turn into enemies depending on how you deal with other people in your life and things like that. There's certainly a very, very charismatic and caring bunch. They care about the Longhorns, and sometimes they can get at each other's throats, but it's all out of love. But that's just what you get when it's the biggest team website across any sport on the internet. And Orange Bloods didn't get like this by not always just working our butts off from the day of its inception. So I've been a member there since 2003. I've been writing at Orange Blood since 2013. And I could tell you it's an amazing place that's done amazing things for amazing people. So it's as much about the community as it is about all the great content, and the content right now is just awesome. So check it out. Promo code UTSpring25. That offer is valid only for the next 3 days. It's the best website for the Texas Longhorns. Cody?
The War Room is currently up at orangebloods.com. So take advantage of that offer and go check out the War Room. It's action-packed. I'm already reading through it right now.
Please like the show. It helps us immensely. Please subscribe to the channel. Please, if you have friends who might like this show, email it to them, forward it to them, let them know, help spread the word. It's because of you guys that the show continues to grow here, even in the off season. I can't wait to see the trajectory that we'll be on as we continue with you guys to grow the show coming into this next season, Arch Manning's first season at the helm in SEC play. So, and then the final thing. If you're here and you like the show and you're just like, Cody and Alex, I think they're cool, just come back tomorrow, all right? It's Final Takes Friday. Love you guys. We got a UFL draft to do. God bless you. For Cody, I'm Alex. We're done.